Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. Eldred here. I want to follow up the video I made about cycling training versus resting because in some of the comments, a couple of people kept talking about knee pain after a block of training and this and that. So I just wanted to specify that you shouldn't be having any kind of knee pain when you train, regardless of how much you're training. I mean, if you're having knee pain, it's something else. It's not because of a block of training. That means you got a problem with your fit or some other biomechanical issue that you have failed to address. And I think I've mentioned in a lot of my videos that these videos are here to help those who are DIY capable. Not everybody can watch a video and be able to fit themselves. If you're trying to fit yourself and you're still having problems, go see a bike fit specialist and get that problem addressed. You only got a pair of knees. You don't have any spares. So take care of them. I mean, we spend money on bling wheels for our cars. We buy super unleaded and all this crap. Spend the money on you. $200-300 to make sure you understand how to fit yourself is better than going through years of discomfort, trying this and trying that. If you are dealing with a fit specialist, there is no trial and error. They can get you comfortable immediately, and then you can continue to tweak to improve that comfort. You should not be riding in discomfort. It's not normal to do a block of training and have knee pain. That doesn't mean you're overtraining. You got a problem that's just exacerbated by you increasing your mileage. So I wanted to spend time today talking about what exactly is overtraining. What do I mean when I say you're overtrained? Overtraining means it's very subjective, and it's a buildup. It's just a phrase or a word that people came up with. It's not finite. You can't just say, oh, now I'm overtrained. It's a gradual process. So, for example, you get up one day, you've been riding, you had no trouble hooking up with the group, going out by yourself, and then one day you get up and you just don't feel like going out. We've all been there. But then you still make yourself go. Okay, then let's say the next day something happened, you couldn't ride, so you were forced to rest, and then the following day, you're anxious to go ride. As long as you're anxious to go ride or you're motivated, you're looking forward to go ride, you're not close to overtraining. Overtraining is a phase where over time, you've just continued to work and you've not allowed your body to physically and psychologically absorb the new workload. Now, let me be specific. So, in the first example I talked about, you were forced to stop after you didn't want to go out and then you went out. So let's say, for example, you don't want to go out today, but you force yourself. You don't want to go out tomorrow, you force yourself. Or you don't want to go out on Friday, somebody calls and you feel pressured to hook up with a group and you know you're supposed to be taking it easy. And one of our legends even mentioned that, I think it was Dana. He said that they went on a ride and somebody was trying to do 3 watts per kilo on an easy ride. There is no hard, fast rule of what's easy because what's easy for one person is hard for another person. You've got to know yourself. You've got to be able to tell when you're going easy versus when you're going hard. So, for example, if you go out and you're trying to ride easily and you ride with others that are not staying within that zone that you need to stay in, let them go. Stay disciplined. That will avoid you from getting to an overtraining phase. So if you continue to allow yourself to do more than you planned, eventually you get to a point where you just don't want to ride your bike or all your muscles are sore. And that's what I want to get to. I went back and I replied to one of our legends. I think he's a new legend because he mentioned knee pain again as if to say it was the norm. It is not normal when you go ride your bike, you come back with knee pain. You need to address that. That's a problem. I don't have any knee pain. The people that ride in the Tour de France don't have knee pain, or they will quit the race and go deal with that. Even Bernard Hinault in the 80s had knee pain. He needed surgery to repair a problem with his knee. It wasn't because of the miles. He had a problem with his knee. So I'm not saying that you have a problem with your knee, but a problem with your fit will create knee pain. You don't ride with your knee. You use the muscles, your quadriceps, your hamstring, the calves, your glutes. That's what should be sore when you overtrain. That's what should be fatigued as soon as you get on the bike. If you haven't rested enough and you try to go hard and then you can't hit that zone, even though your cadence is right and everything, you just can't get your heart rate there or you just can't hit your power numbers. that means you need more rest. Because those of you who train with power meters, it's very objective. If you know that normally it's no problem for you to hit 200 watts, and then after a block of training, you can't hit 200 watts, you're tired. Don't ignore that. Rest. However many days you need to feel like yourself again. Nobody can tell you when you're rested. You should know when you feel like yourself again. And then you want to learn that so you know how many days you need to feel 100%. And that's why I made the comment in another video that Thursday, I either ride easy or I take the day off because I give myself 48 hours just to be sure I'm 100%. It doesn't mean I take off the whole 48 hours. What it means is if I do ride, I don't make myself tired. I spin, I use light gearing, and I just enjoy the bike. I pay attention to how my shoes feel. That's when you optimize your fit. You listen to how my shoes feel. How does the saddle feel? You do that on your easy rides because fit is dynamic. The cleats come loose. Different things can happen. Don't ignore that. Just because you get your fit dialed in doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. As you ride and your muscles change or you get more flexible, for those of you who stretch, I stretch all the time. Things are going to change. Don't ignore what your body's telling you. So, for example, the legends who posted that, I did a block of training and I think I did more than I should have done because my knees hurt. No, your knees hurting because something is off biomechanically. That means either the cleats off, saddle's too high, saddle's too low, something's twisting that knee that's making it hurt. Your knees should not be hurting. You don't ride with your knees. Your quads should be sore. Your hamstring should be sore. Your glutes should be sore. All of these muscles in the arms should be sore because if you're climbing, you use that. You use all these muscles. Your core, all of that. If you know how to use your core when you're riding, and for those of you who don't, I have a weight training video on how to strengthen your core. But what I'm saying is your muscles should be sore, not your joints. You don't ride with your joints. So be very careful. If your joints are sore, that's a serious issue. Don't ignore it. Get it addressed. If you can't identify what's causing it, get professional help. Go pay the $100 or $200, whatever. They're not going to charge you a full price just to do your knee. But chances are, if you've never seen that person before, they'll do a full fit to make sure your saddle height and everything. Because your saddle being too high can cause knee pain on the back. Your saddle being too low can cause knee pain on the front. Your cleats being off can cause knee pain on the sides, either side. So there's so many things that can cause that. Nobody's just going to say, this is what's causing it without going over your whole fit. And they don't know where you are. They don't have a baseline, and that's why I told one of the legends, I can't give you advice over the internet. I don't know you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know, so you should be able to double your mileage with no knee pain. But yeah, muscle pain is okay, but not knee pain. You're not riding with your knees. You shouldn't be anyway. So if you're having knee pain, that means your knee is not being allowed to stay in the plane it likes to be in. Because your leg doesn't go straight up and down. It has its own track. And if something's pulling it off track, you will have knee pain. Or if the saddle's too high. I wanted to make this video to focus on mentioning that because it seemed to be people taking too much for granted regarding knee pain like it's no big deal. That's not normal. Okay? Serious cyclists are not riding around with knee pain. When they work out, their muscles are sore. Not their knees, not their elbows and so forth. And I'll do a video about how to identify what causes your elbow pain and your neck pain and different things on the cockpit side. But I wanted to do this video to specify that identifying overtraining is very, very tricky because overtraining is a state of mind and a state of being that you get to after you ignore all these phases. And that's why people that coach, like myself, I give people periods of rest in the weekly, micro cycle, and also in the macro, the bigger cycle over the 6-week period. We put periods of rest in there so you never run the risk of overtraining. So, for those of you who don't have a plan from a coach, how you identify overtraining? You get up in the morning and you just don't want to ride your bike. Something's making you not want to ride your bike. I'm not saying that, you're busy with work or something. I'm just saying you have the time to ride, but you're not eager to get out the door. That's the get out your door test, we call it. You're not anxious to get out the door. Don't go out the door. Do something else. Kick back, watch cartoons, go hang out with whoever's important to you, whatever you like to do other than ride the bike. Do something different. That is your mind telling you I don't want to do this today. It's letting you know. If you're not anxious to get out the door, you're a little sick of it. That means you've been doing too much. Maybe you pile on the mileage too much. That's a fake phase of overtraining. That's what I'm talking about. You don't need to wait till your knees are hurting. Your knees should not be hurting. If your knees are hurting, I'm stressing that because it bugs me because I don't want people to disregard the fact that your knees should not be hurting you. That is not the norm. Okay? I can ride all the miles I want. Yeah, my butt's going to ache, my glutes, my upper back, my arms, my leg, all the muscles, not my joints. That's how you know your fit is right. If the bike is comfortable, you should have no pain in your joints. So fit is important, but fit is the most ignored. Everybody thinks that, the fit I got from the bike shop, yeah, that's all I need. No, that's a good starting point. But once you start putting on the miles and you start to get the specialized equipment. So let's say, for example, you go to the bike shop, you get a bike, because all you need for cycling is a bicycle. You can use sneakers or whatever, just get out there and ride. Once you start getting more into it and start doing more miles, you got to start refining that fit that you got at the bike shop. It's just a starting point. And the reason for refining it is don't ignore those little aches and pains you're getting. The reason you're getting those aches and pains in your joints is because you're not optimal. And now you're piling on more miles. You're not just riding on Saturday for 30 minutes recreationally in the neighborhood. You start getting to where you're doing some serious miles. You need a fit, a real fit, not a bike shop fit. So I just wanted to know, don't focus on trying to find out when you're overtrained. Pay attention to every little thing your body tells you. You don't want to go out the door, rest. It's better to rest more than to do more work than you need to so that your body heals. That's why I made that video. So to summarize, it's not easy to identify overtraining. You don't want to even get there. So what I suggest is every time you ride, pay attention to how you feel after you ride the next day. Okay? In other words, don't ride hard all the time. Taper your workout. Just like when you do weight training, you can't work the same muscle groups in the gym every day because the quality will not be there. So if you're going to be riding, you got to taper your workouts. You got to go hard one day, easy the next, hard the next, and get to where you build up to where you can go hard. And even though you're going hard, it doesn't mean that every minute of the ride you're riding hard. The pros that ride these tours, they don't ride hard every day. There are days where they just sit in the bunch and roll in the draft. And then there are days where you see them, they hammer the mountains. You just can't ride full gas every day and expect your body not to rebel. You can gradually build up to where you can do that, but you will be able to do that for a finite period of time. Like they do, end of the race. They can hammer off the front or hammer up the hill the last 30 minutes. They're not going to do that for 4 hours. So you got to do the same thing when you're training. If you're planning on going hard, make sure you listen to your body. Is it taking you too much effort to get to 200 watts than it did before? Then maybe it's time to let your body heal from the last time you worked at 200 watts. And I'm just using that as a gauge or whatever effort you got to. And know that, okay, I probably need to rest more because I'm just struggling too hard to get to 200 watts when I know normally I don't do that. Only you can determine that. That's why it's a challenge. And that's why a lot of people work with coaches. The coaches get to know them and the coaches put a program in place and do tests to see, okay, yeah, your body can take this. You're able to hit these numbers. That's why power meters are very popular because it's very objective. Heart rate monitor would work too. There are days you go out, you just can't get your heart rate up. That means you're tired. I did a ride here, a group ride, where it took almost an hour into the ride before my heart rate started cooperating because I slept for only 3 or 4 hours a night before messing around with my daughter. So what I'm trying to explain is don't just say, oh, I'm overtrained because you're having pains. No, you're having pains because it's always been there. You just didn't ride long enough for you to really feel it. And it's there. And so my biggest concern, those kind of pains that once you get to where you're starting to feel it, that means it's been doing stuff for your shorter rides. You just weren't riding long enough for it to become an issue. And you may have been compensating by either moving your foot somewhere or something like that. So address it. Check your fit. or get somebody to help you if you can't identify. You should not be uncomfortable. You should not be having any joint pain over a period of time. You know, some guy on here, one of the legends came and said, over a period of years, I moved my cleat back and I did this. Then the pain came back and this and that. You know, I've been riding for 30 years with no pain. I still have my knees. They're fine. That's the norm. So when you start having those problems, get them addressed. But don't feel bad that you have not gotten them addressed, because most cyclists just disregard fit. You know, just like the guy at work who thinks he can work on his own computer until he messes it up, then he wants to call IT. And that's why most of the IT guys will lock everybody out of the computer. You know, you can only download certain things because everybody thinks they can do that. So don't take fit for granted. It is a science. You're not going to learn to be a brain surgeon by going to the observation deck at the hospital, watching brain surgery and saying, yeah, I can do it. No, these videos are to give you information, give you a guide, and educate you so you can ask the right questions. And then you can try stuff yourself, but if you're not making any progress, then you need to seek help. Like my buddy Scott. Scott was doing his own fit and he was having challenges moving that cleat. And so he reached out to me and I guided him and he was able to resolve that. So, you know, be aware of that and just focus on that. So I wanted to make this video just to reach out because overtraining is hard to identify. Don't focus on that. You don't want to get to where you overtrain because it can take months for you to come back from that. You don't want to get there. That's why every training program has rest periods built in. So build rest periods in your weekly cycle and build rest periods in your monthly cycle. Don't ride hard the whole year. Break it up. Train for an event, get ready for it, and come down. And, you know, and get somebody to help you or get a book to help you put together a plan when you're preparing for an event. So you're not, you know, worried about, am I really ready for it or whatever. You set your goals and you need a training plan. When you start targeting events, you need a plan. So I hope I touched on enough. But my biggest purpose here was to just let people know, don't accept joint pain. Joint pain is not normal for cycling. You shouldn't be having any joint pain. You don't ride with your joints. You ride with your muscles. They should be sore, not painful. They should be sore. The kind of sore, the burn that you get when you push your muscles. That's the kind of pain you endure. I'm not talking about pain for something that is pulled or some muscle that is pulled. That doesn't make you tough. You need to stop. You're hurting yourself. The pain we're talking about when we're talking about suffering is everything's working fine. You're just enduring the discomfort of pushing that muscle group longer and longer. As far as the burn that you get. When they say no pain, no gain, they're talking about the burn you get when you're pushing your muscle. They're not talking about the pain that comes from hurting yourself or the muscle being at a point where it cannot handle the load. Okay, so it's a fine thing. It's a fine thing to identify. Feel free to post your questions below. But I want everybody on here to not accept joint pain. Joint pain is not normal. You're having joint pain because you get home and the back of your elbow hurts. Something is off. You're too stretched out. And even if you did this, you would feel it. You would feel that you were too stretched out. So I don't want to get into that. I will get off topic here. But I just wanted to say that. So no matter what, get out there. You should be able to ride your bike as much as you want with no discomfort in terms of your joints. Especially if you're riding hard one day, easy the other, because you have to be able to put in a lot of miles if you're going to do an event with a lot of miles. You have to be able to prepare. So if you ride for a little while, you got joint pain, and what does that mean? That means something's off. Address that. You shouldn't have any joint pain. So with that, I'm going to close and get out there and get your miles in and ride in comfort or get the help you need.